everybody. I'm Foster.
I'm Williams.
I'm the businessman.
And I'm the councilman. This is the Foster and Williams Show. If it's in the news, we talk about it. If it's in the neighborhood, we talk about it. If it matters to you, oh yeah, we talk about it.
And we are the friends of the people.
The Foster and Williams Show. Welcome to the Foster and Williams Show. This is the inaugural episode. I'm so excited to be here with one of my best buddies, businessman Henry Foster. We're going to get right into it, but we're so glad to be on 88.1 WHPR, Highland Park Radio. Mama, we finally made it. We're going to start off with the shutoff notices for the water and sewer in Detroit. This has been crazy. I don't know if you saw the protest that happened last week, Henry, but basically what they did was they said they have 137,000 delinquent water customers that cost $75 million. So they was giving people shutoff notices left and right.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, man. I did get a chance to view that. I kind of agree with it, with the writer that basically, how can you shut off everyone's water when you got a bunch of abandoned buildings and homes and things like that are kind of flooded and everything else like that? It's costing a high bill as well. I really believe that that maybe it should be a better plan for that type of situation.
Well, I think that's part of it, but then they weren't shutting off the corporations. They owe $23 billion. So how Ford Field can water they fake AstroTurf, but you cutting off a single mother with 5 kids, and now she can't even bathe her kids. They can't go to school. That's a human right. You get what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. DHS, Department of Human Resources, that becomes a health concern when people don't have access to water.
Yeah, you can get your kids taken, but for something that basically is not always your fault. It's kind of unfair to the children and the family because they really don't have it to pay in the first place. That's why they're in the system with DHS and everything else like that. I do agree that businesses they have more power, so they should be held liable for much more than the lay family.
But isn't that how it always is? People who really have money don't have to use their money. I know when you reach a certain echelon in fame, they say, well, your money's no good here. I guess that's what the Detroit Department of Water and Sewer was basically saying. Your money's no good here to the corporations, but to the regular people, oh, yeah, you owe $150, we cutting you off.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy because someone still has to pay the bill, if the families don't have it, then why shrug off the businesses for something they can clearly clear up themselves? They have a lot of money to clear it up. It's just a hard situation. I really don't understand why we're still here, but I guess the thing is somebody has to be the blame to kind of cover up whatever it needs to be covered up so business can continue on.
Well, the good thing is the Detroit Water and Sewer Department announced that they're calling a 15-day halt to the aggressive shutoff campaign that has left unknown number of Detroiters without water. So I definitely want to commend them for taking action, and I want to commend the activists who helped to make that happen. The Detroit Water Brigade, Maureen Taylor, Brandon Jessup, all of those people, even from as far as Flint, Benton Harbor, have come to protest this water because they said that water is a human right. Not just a natural right, but a human right. It's just like once you own a property, you had a right and access to water. That's their argument. But listen, the reason they stopped this is not because a whole bunch of people got out in the streets. That was part of it. But the secondary part of that is they filed a lawsuit. And so they filed a lawsuit with the bankruptcy judge to get that stopped. And so sometimes it's important that we get together and actually fight for our rights in the court of law. This is the Foster and Williams Show. If you want to call in, we're live on the air right now. You can call in at 313-868-0331. Again, that's 313-868-0331. Okay. Now, switching gears, because we talked about the water, and we're going to revisit that as this show goes on every Monday at 8 o'clock. But when we want to move on, to Kobe Bryant speaking at the Travon Martin thing. It's been a year since Trayvon Martin died, and you remember everybody had the hoodies on, the T-shirts, and all of that stuff, and nobody really came out and said anything. But this year, at one of the rallies for the family, Kobe Bryant, professional NBA basketball player who just signed, I think, like a $42 million contract, something ridiculous. It's like $24 million a year, just making gobs and gobs of money, says he's got a bigger responsibility than just to put a ball in the hoop. Do you think that athletes are required, especially when they come, when they represent, and most of the people who pay for their tennis shoes and things like that are from the urban community, to speak up for them?
Well, it's a thing where nobody really is required, in my opinion, but it just makes a better person or a better type of professionalism to for a person of that magnitude or get paid that much to actually kind of speak up for people that are not on that level. And because in America, we can speak on it like this, because America is so large and so big on entertainment, I believe a lot of people will follow. May have a lot of money or may have a lot of influence, but not the name of Kobe Bryant, but can kind of influence them to speak up for people that can't actually do for themselves.
Now, this is what I want to say on that. I believe that they do have some responsibility, because these people that are in the NBA and carry a large influence, especially over our youth, when they speak up and have activists, I think that we have a depth of activism that we didn't have in the past. In the past, we had people that got blacklisted for speaking up for rights. You got to think about it. The great actor Harry Belafonte, he probably would make tons more money, being the age that he is, if he hadn't took stances. I remember back in Pontiac, when I was a young kid, Dick Gregory came and marched at one of the local parks, at Steed Park, right around the corner from my house. And I remember that because I participated in that march. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to do that. He was a comedian, and think about it. He could have been on the same level of Eddie Murphy and those guys and made something, but he chose to make a stand. And every time you make a stand, guess what? There comes a penalty. People don't like it when it speaks up. So, Kobe Bryant is saying this, but would Kobe Bryant be saying this at the beginning of his career? Before the endorsements, before all the shoe deals, before the $180 million? And now, I'm the biggest Kobe fan. I'm a Lakers fan through and through. Don't get mad at me, Detroit. I know, one day y'all going to come back. I know Bad Boys are going to return part 3. I know it's going to happen. I know y'all believe. That's faith right there. Believe it, that the Pistons going to come back is faith. I know. But what I'm saying is, it's easy to do that when you've already established yourself. But it's hard to step up and speak out before you get to millions. And so I think a lot of athletes really don't get to that point until they feel like they've made it financially stable to do what they need to do. Is that right or wrong?
That's a hard one. It goes into the eye of the beholder, or whoever is actually taking that stand, because they can actually make the decision if they lose a little something here or there for actually making a stand for like that. He can afford it. But a person that hasn't made it or anything else like that, or is trying to climb the ladder, the career ladder or whatever else like that, maybe cannot afford it to lose anything from making a stand. So it's really kind of hard. I couldn't really speak on that one, but
But I guess as a business owner yourself, at times, sometimes you have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, as far as dealing with injustices and corporations and things like that. Mm-hmm. We were at FYI the other day, and the guy was profiling me. Basically, he said, okay, well, this guy comes in the store, and didn't matter I had a suit on. He said, do you need any help? Okay, that's good customer service at first. But then when you continue, I'm just looking at the gospel section, and I continue. I'm looking at Kurt Franklin, God's Property. I'm wondering why this CD still costs $10. It's back in 2001, and now you still trying to sell it for $10. You gouging the people. I should have talked about that. But then the guy came on, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. But you were telling me that it's basically what they're taught to do by management.
Very true. They are taught to do it by management. And they're put in a position to kind of, look as if they're harassing the people when they come into the store or to the place. But it's not the fault of just the person who's actually doing the job, but sometimes systems business systems make it harsh and make it hard for a person to kind of be themselves or take a stand, as we're talking about.
So, when you don't take a stand, or for example, LeBron James just went back to Cleveland, right? And so while we're talking about sports, he just went back to Cleveland. But when he left, Mr. Gilbert, who does tons of stuff in Detroit, right? Some people say it's good, some people say it's bad, but that's another show. They can call in about that later. But the point is, he wrote him a nasty letter, told him you wasn't going to win any rings before us and all of this other stuff. And basically, they were burning his jerseys and all of that stuff. But he still came back to Cleveland. And I thought about it, you know, I said LeBron never left home. He never had that opportunity to leave home and go to college. I went away for college for 4 years, and then I wanted to come back. He basically went to Miami for 4 years and came back. He's still at that age. Well, he's a little older now. I think he's older than what his birth certificate says. But anyway, he's a little bit older now, but he came back to Cleveland in order to do something to make history for the people in Cleveland. And he was a bigger man in that situation. I don't know if I could have went back to an owner like that.
Well, that's a couple of reasons why I couldn't actually, you know, go back to an owner like that myself. Because I mean, you got. I mean, it's just this is the way I'm thinking. It's just some kind of friction that you left from the people and the management, and then to return, it's kind of like a favor of take me back home kind of thing. So you know, I wouldn't know what people would think about me coming back, or even how I would feel coming to pick back on that, put that jersey on because I left, you know, to get a better chance at a ring or a better salary.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it was his choice at the time. You know, like I said, I'm not a LeBron fan, but I'm glad he went back to Cleveland because I think a lot of people have made money off our communities like Pontiac, Flint, Detroit, Benton Harbor, and places like that, and then they make money and they go retire, and then they don't come back and give anything to their community. And so LeBron at such a young age, if he's willing to go back and don't, it's not all altruistic. I know he's gonna make tons of money for being back in Cleveland. So I'm not naive on that issue, but it just gives symbolism that some of these people need to come back. Some of these people who have moved and built some of these suburbs need to come back in Detroit and pay some of these people's water bills. That's all I'm saying right now. So we're gonna move on to another story, but before we do, this is the People Show. So you can call in at 313-868-0331. Again, that's 313-868-0331. This is the Foster and Williams Show on 88.1 Highland Park Radio. Now, this was a crazy story that was in the Free Press today. It says Pontiac man tells cops his nephew threatened to kill him over food in the microwave.
Wow.
So I'm going to read the story for the audience because I just thought this was so ridiculous. A 28-year-old Pontiac man was arrested Sunday after his uncle complained that he had brandished a gun and threatened to kill him during an argument about food left in the microwave. The 61-year-old told Oakland County Sheriff's deputies that his nephew had been sharing the house and then it has the street for about 6 months. According to the report, the two argued, and the nephew went into the living room, returned with the gun, and pointed it at the uncle, warning he was going to shoot him. So the uncle called 911, and he fled, and later they arrested the guy. The point is, at what point did we lose respect for family members? Now, don't get me wrong. I've been in arguments with my sisters and everything else, but how do you lose respect for a 61-year-old man to the point where you say, I'm going to go get a gun out of the living room and pull it on your uncle?
There is no words for that as it comes from me being, 35 years old. I've never even thought of even hitting someone that was older than I, maybe 10 or 20 years older than me, let alone somebody that's like half my age or maybe, 2 or 3 times my age, and let alone this guy tells him and pulls a gun out on this guy that is his older uncle. I mean, I'm sure he's probably, a little too old for whatever happened, but I don't think the little guy really had respect for him in the beginning because his mind wasn't even, he didn't think twice. He just went in and got it, So he had to been, thinking about something about him or hated him at some time in the past. But that still doesn't give you an excuse to disrespect any kind of person that's 40, 50, 60 in your, whatever age, younger.
But how do we get that respect back for our elders? I remember you telling me the story of a young man that decided that he was going to punch his mama.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I mean, these are real life issues. How can we get back that sense of community? Because when I was raised up, everybody had permission to beat you.
Pretty much.
And so now it just seems like the kids are overpowering the parents. This was an adult, but he felt in itself that it was all right to pull a gun on his 61-year-old uncle. It wasn't his 35-year-old uncle. It wasn't his 45-year-old uncle. This man is 61 years old, and you decide to pull a gun on him.
Well, I guess I could say something to that, because really we do, we should in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not, as hard like it was, 30 or 40 years ago. The neighborhood has to be unified. And I say that because that'll be able to make a statement to what we call a government now today. I don't really know what to call that sometimes, but if families and communities stick together and have a statement that they're no longer going to take or give any kind of power to any kind of youth or young adult to disrespect them or themselves, then you have something to state to the government. But you also need the government as well, not to allow abuse per se for a young person, and the style of training them, but also, just to, kind of reinforce that, hey, these communities of grown-ups are right. We have to train them and be able to train them and not have the fear when we train them or discipline them that we're going to go to jail or something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't be afraid of kids. I know you got 5. I leave that to the professionals. I have none. But I know you deal with it on a daily basis, and I guess it's a thin line. I still believe, I'm from the generation where they sent you to go get the switch.
Yep.
And so now, now Big Mama's not sending anybody to get the switch. And so it seems like that now. That, sometimes, and a lady told me the other day, and, maybe this is not politically correct for the airways, but a lady told me, she said, I'm never going to whoop my kids. I just don't believe that violence is the way to train children and all of this stuff. And I said that was good. The kid was about 2 years old, and he was tearing up everything. But she said she wasn't going to whoop him when she got older. And I said, and I just thought about it, and I said, listen, I don't have any kids, so I'm not an expert. But I believe that you need to whoop your kids at least once so they will know that you have the capability. Now, I'm not talking about child abuse.
Exactly.
I'm not talking about belts, whips, chains, refrigerators, microwaves. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about just good old-fashioned 2 or 3 swaps on the butt. This is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. Knowing they lying, but, that's what I'm saying. And so just bringing that back to the community, I think, would help. But it's all around discipline, because I remember my mother always telling me, you don't talk when grown folks are talking.
You're not in the room, period.
Well, yeah, I know Lois ain't play, so
right.
I know you got some waps to tell about it. But this is the Foster and Williams Show. You can call in again at 313-868-0331. Again, that's 313-868-0331. Want to take a minute to thank our sponsors of today's show. Our first sponsor is Ebony Layouts, specializing in nonprofit and church websites. She did my website. She did Henry's website. And you can call her for more information at 248-812-9126. Again, that's 248-812-9126. So we're going to switch topics now, because we talked about kids that should get beat, I guess. So I'm going to transition right into this one, Henry, if you don't mind. A Florida town is cracking down on sagging pants problem. They call it the problem, okay? Now, you remember that song, Looking Like a Fool with Your Pants on the Ground, right? And so we deal with this all the time. But right now, they put in place an ordinance that offenders would have to pay $500 or 6 months in jail for sagging pants. What do you think about it?
Well, for the city, for the city is a good money maker. But I I am I'm indifferent. I can see the point the city is trying to make. It actually is a good trainer, in my opinion. You don't necessarily need the sacrifice. It became the fashion or whatever else for when. But slapping fines and putting them in jail. I don't know if that's a good idea because we're already over flooding the jails and prisons already. But if we're fined and things like that, maybe it would shape up the communities and the cities where guys are actually lowering themselves to the way they appear to other people, and it will help them out that way. So I'm for it. I'm for it, but
as much as I want to be for this penalty, I can't be for it because I just know that growing up where I grew up, that there's an opportunity to profile people, and how can you prove that your pants wasn't sagging? That's the issue. How can you prove that wasn't the guy? They bring you up in up on charges and they want to legal. I think it's a bigger issue. At what point did the uniform of our community become drooping drawers? You get what I'm saying? I mean, I talk to officers all the time. They say that's how we catch most of them because they're trying to jump the fence, but they can't get over because their pants too low. And so, if you want to look like, I guess, in America, you've got that route, right? But I guess it's a thin line between that and indecent exposure. But I guess people feel that that's a way of expressing themselves. That by sagging their pants, they're really doing something different. And I don't know if you can legislate it. I don't know if I want to put an ordinance together to say we should stop sagging pants. I mean, if I really had an ordinance, I would say, everybody needs to wear a tie. You know why? Because studies prove that when you wear a tie, you're 25% less likely to commit a crime. Those are the kind of statistics that we have. But I can't really legislate that to people because what you realize is when you walk around, you get what you portray. And so the crazy part about it is these people will buy a $500, $600 pair of jeans, but you're not going to buy a shirt to go with it. So now you got no shirt. I'm seeing your drawers, and I see your True Religion dreams is hanging to your ankles. And what statement are you making? I might say those are nice jeans if I can see the jeans. All I see is drawers. So maybe, I don't know, maybe y'all can get with David Beckham and get a commercial for Jockey. I mean, Michael Jordan is selling Fruit of Balloons. You're not selling no Fruit of Balloons, but yet and still you advertising. Then the older gentleman said to me last week, he said, at least clean your drawers. If you're going to wear them, clean them. So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to, condemn anybody. I'm just saying that if you're going to practice something, let it be beneficial to you. I mean, I don't see where it's beneficial, but you know who I blame it on?
Who's that?
I blame it on the women. If the women didn't want people with sagging drawers, they wouldn't wear them.
That is true.
If they don't say, ooh, that's cute, they wouldn't wear it. So if everybody want to change it, listen, this is going to be my public service announcement for the day. If you want the kids in your community, the young men in your community, not to wear sagging pants, talk to your daughters. Tell them that if you bring a boy home with sagging pants, he's not going to get in the door. Oh, y'all don't want to hear that. It got dead over the air. Nobody wanted to talk about that. Like I said, this is the Foster and Williams Show. You can call in at 313-868-0331. Again, that's 313-868-0331. This is the inaugural show. We're going to be here every Monday at 8 o'clock. So put it on your smartphones. WHPR has an app now, so you can stream us live. You can look at Henry's handsome face every Monday at 8 o'clock. All you got to do is download the app. You can go to 88.1 FM WHPR in your Google store. I think it's on iTunes, too. I ain't got an iPhone yet. They say, do you got a smartphone? I say, no, I got a dumb phone, but it still works. But anyway, you can download the app or you can stream us live on the internet. But for those of you who are listening in the car, I know y'all want to talk about y'all sagging pants. Some of y'all are turning the radio off now because you're saying Kermit's hating on my sagging pants. I'm not hating on your sagging pants, brother. I'm just saying make some money off of it because clearly you're not going to get a job with those sagging pants. You're not going. Well, let me say that. You might get a job. but you're not going to get a career. And that brings us to our next topic. Henry, tell us the difference between a job and a career.
Well, a lot of us out there that are listening right now, is the topic that we're getting ready to talk about is the job versus the career. I call it the job mind versus the career mind. We pretty much can kind of speculate if you don't know, or if you do know what a job is. A job, particularly, is something that we do until we get to some point. We're not particularly happy about the position. This is something that maybe your mom told you to do, your dad told you had to do, you had to get out, but it wasn't necessarily what you were passionate about doing. It's not a thing that you woke up and you said you were going. No disrespect to McDonald's. You wanted to go and work as a McDonald's person, fry fries and flip burgers all day. You didn't particularly, look into that type of and call that job a career. It's just something that got you through. It's something that paid a bill. Most times, this job didn't pay all your bills. You got 4 or 5 bills, but you're only able to pay half a bill with how much they're paying to actually get a job. But the thing is, with a job, you can actually have 2 or 3 of them. You can't make it work. It just makes it harder. A career, on the other hand, I like best. Because it kind of relates to what I like to do. And I'm not saying everyone has to do it this way, go after business opportunities. A career usually is a thing. It's a position or a work position that you actually selected. You've always dreamed about it. You studied on it. You went to school for it. And you've always thought of it, especially if you thought of it for yourself, something that you wanted to do. It didn't matter how much you get paid for it. You just desire to do it. But a career is just what you particularly love, and that's the difference. And I ask you all, how long can you accept a job? How long can you accept a job and not plan for your future or your career? Because every day you're going to that job, are you happy? About what you're doing. And what do you think?
Well, I think that, job is like you said earlier, job leads you to just over broke. And a career is something that you plan for. But even when you're talking about McDonald's, if you go in there with a position, I know a young lady who started off when we were in high school together working at Popeyes. Well, now she's the manager of, 15 or 16 Popeyes. What I'm saying is, when you have a position or opportunity, make the best of that opportunity. It's got to be something inside of you that says, I want to be better than where I am right now. And so I think sometimes, especially in our community, we despise humble beginnings. Mm-hmm. My thing is, you at McDonald's anyway. Why not smile? Why not clean the fry tray? I mean, they're gonna make you do it anyway. You mopping anyway. See, I worked at Taco Bell for 3 years. God bless me to never have to make a taco, but I was still there for 3 years when I was in high school. And so while I was there working the counter, working the cash register, my drawer never came up short. Why? Because it's an integrity that you got to bring to whatever position you're at. And so that prepared me to be on city council now. Why? Because I had to deal with some complaining employees. So now when people complain in the city, I already dealt with that. Who prepared me for that? Taco Bell. See, and you wouldn't think of that because sometimes we don't look at where we're gaining experience. It might not be the paycheck that you want, but it might be the experience you need to push you to that next step. And so it can push you to your career. But I think many times in our society, we've got too good for these jobs. And then you get mad at other people and you just say somebody should hand me something. The bottom line is, if you go into any Chinese food place or whatever, they're going to have a young child working and teaching them at the cash register, messing up your order. Pushing the buttons. They're going to say, hey, dude, and they're going to be pushing the button, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I'm saying to you is, we don't want to do that. Your dad can own a barbershop, and guess what? You say, I don't want to cut hair. I want to be an actor. Well, you need to learn how to cut hair until you get your big break. The point I'm trying to make to you is, we haven't passed on those generational businesses. And it's sad to see when people tell me, well, this used to be a whole area of economic development for certain people, and now they don't own anything. Now everybody that owns it, then they complain. They say, I don't like the way this man treats me at this store. But yet still, you still go in that store, You still play your lottery. You still buy whatever you want to buy, right? Let them talk to you any kind of way, but you never talk about supporting somebody else.
Well, you know, I'm all in with that. What you're saying, and also even while you're at a job or you're doing all that complaining when you're going into that store, and after so many years and all this other stuff like that, you had big dreams and you never planned on it, you never moved on what it is that you wanted to do or you are supposed to do. Then my question is, how can you be unhappy with whoever is succeeding at whatever else they're doing, and then you're still going shopping? But here's my thing: even while you're at a job or you're at, Taco Bell, I personally, even when I raked leaves and pumped gas as a young boy, I never pictured myself as this is where I will remain. I may not have liked to go out and shovel that snow and rake those leaves and pump that gas and sit out there all those hours. But two things I had in mind. I had in mind that I had some money coming into my pocket, number one, and I also had in mind that I was able to think without any interruptions because I had a job, I was busy, no one else could distract me, and I could make a plan for the future.
All right, we've got our first caller in here, Henry. All right, we're on the air with Ruby. Ruby, you there? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, who we speaking with?
Speaking with Boris.
We're trying to hear you. Let me turn up the volume. All right. Now, what'd you say?
You speaking with Boris.
Yeah, okay. How you doing? What you want to talk about?
I was going to shout out to my man, Anthony, doing it on y'all show.
Okay, you said you want to get on the show?
I want to give a shout out to my man, Mr. 966.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you, brother. So we got our first caller. We had a little technical difficulties, but when you're talking about a job and a career, Henry, one of the key things that Jim Ron said that was awesome. He said, always work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's deep. I'm going to say it again. Always work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And so this is the Foster and Williams Show, 88.1 radio. You can call in at 313-868-0331. Again, that's 313-868-0331. We just found out that the phones work in the building, so thank God for that. Want to give our shout out to our other sponsor for today, Diamonds Transport. They specialize in airport, casino, and carrier services. So if you want more information on them, you can call 248-842-5698. Again, that's 248-842-5698. Or you can go to the website for more information at metrodtride.com. Again, that's metrodtride.com. Now, when you're talking about switching to a career, let's talk to our listeners about what do you do when you're really not passionate about working for anybody. I know I had a job at one of the local markets, and I hated that job with a passion. I would go every day, but every day I had my headphones playing. I was playing Kanye West Spaceship, just get me away from this place. And then you look at the check at the end of the week and you say, this ain't worth the headache. I mean, what do you tell people that are at a point that they feel like they're at their breaking point, but they want to shift to do something else and they just don't know how?
First and foremost, we're going to go back to planning. Make sure you have a plan before you take that move. Please help yourself. Have that plan in motion. What I mean by have that plan in motion, not everything that you planned on is going to be working before you leave this place. You want to at least make sure you at least have a little bit of whatever that plan is going before you move it. And make sure that you can afford to leave where you hate. I can't.
Hold on, say that again. Make sure you can afford to leave where you hate.
Where you hate. If you can't afford it, don't leave. It's just going to make the situation worse for you. And what I mean by that, you got a solid plan, good idea, whatever it is. You don't want to work for nobody, don't want to work nobody else's system. This plan's going to work. But the point you leave where you cannot afford it, you don't have the money to do it, or the money is not in transition to into your pockets or whatever else you need to do to make it work, I guarantee you, I've gone through over this millions of times. You will not have any money, and you will be frustrated. The moment you get frustrated, your plans begin to kind of hold still for you. And what I mean by that, it holds still for you. What you thought and how that thing was going to work, it begins to not work, or you begin to psych yourself out, thinking maybe it won't work, or most importantly, you don't have the money coming through, so you get frustrated and you just kind of sit still. Then you have to go back to another place, different face, different company, but you hate it. You have to start all over again.
Okay, Henry. Now, I wish you had told me that before. I just quit my job Friday, so I wish you had told me that before your show on Monday. But now that I done quit my job and I'm starting from the bottom, what do I need to do to make sure that my plan is actually a plan and it's not just a dream or an idea? You can't just start off at the end of it, say, yeah, I want to make $1 billion. That's not a plan. That's an idea.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying to you is, what can I do right now to change my course of where I'm going? I got no job. I want to work, but I don't want to work for anybody because I might choke them.
Pretty much. Now, let's say you don't want to go back, you quit before you heard this show. That isn't the end of the world, because I say everybody in America, let's just take for example, we buy a whole bunch of stuff that we use 1 or 2 times, something like that. You find you somewhere where you can make some money. I don't promote illegal type of hustles or things like that, but find you something that you can sell. Craigslist is pretty big on selling products, that unwanted items. Freecycle.com, you can get on there and and find things that other people won't want, but someone else would want, and sell some things until you actually get to your plan and are able to raise enough money for your plan that you actually want to do, and then from there, I mean, things should start open up for you, and your mind is already in gear and in motion. So just find something that you can do that can yield you some cash until you get to where you have to go.
Well, that's good, and I think that advice is a great way to go. And we're going to give you some additional help. The Foster and Williams Show has partnered with Michigan Works Job Link, and our goal is to get at least one person hired every week of this show. So if we do 52 shows, we want 52 people hired. Every Friday at 9 a.m., at 1850 North Perry Street in Pontiac, Michigan, they're going to be having a job fair called Community Ventures, and it's specifically for people in Highland Park, Pontiac, Detroit, in those regions, for those people, and they're paying employers to hire people. The partnership with the state is with these employers that are partnership with them, they get about $5,000 to help make that transition, to make it easier for people to get employed. So let me give you the number so you can register and tell them Kermit sent you. It's 248-276-1777. Again, that's 248-276-1777. And this is Michigan Works Job Link. Please do not miss an opportunity. They said there's already one company that's hired 30 people just from the job fairs. So if you want more information, call them at 248-276-1777. That's 9 o'clock every Friday. That's 1850 North Perry Street, Pontiac, Michigan. They have Highland Park on the flyer. I know y'all say, well, these guys are from Pontiac. They don't know nothing about Highland Park. Highland Park is on the flyer, too. Pontiac is on the flyer. Detroit, Flint is on the flyer. So please take advantage of it. Tell them you were listening to the Foster and Williams show. Now, the next thing, because we talked a little bit about jobs. We talked about sagging pants. We talked about careers. We talked about the Detroit water shutoff. But this story, I don't even know where it fits in the show, but I just knew I had to talk about it once I saw this man's face lumped up all over my Facebook. It was a man in Florida who was messing with his friend's son for 3 years. The father, I guess, went to the store or whatever, came back and heard something in the bedroom, opened the bedroom door. The other man stood up. His pants fell to the ground. So guess what he did? Don't judge him, Henry, but guess what he did? Man. He beat the brakes off of him. And then he left the police a message on 911 saying, you need to come pick this guy. He's nice and knocked out. That was the caption. He's nice and unconscious for you right there. And so, I'm thankful that the man didn't die. But I don't know what I would do in that situation. I'm not a father yet, but it made me think. It made me just cringe thinking about how this kind of violence can happen in the community.
It's horrible, and news to me is hard to look at. I can't even begin to believe or see how it's still allowed when many of us, and I know the listeners are out there, many of us have gone through this and no one has told your story. Many of us gone through this, and you still haven't got delivered from it. You still heard about it. Matter of fact, you're named one of the most bitter women around in the city today because someone did something to you and nobody came to your rescue, or someone did something to you and you weren't told, and then the parent didn't actually do anything. So how is this still allowed? I don't know, but I'm not a violent person myself, but I am a protector. So I have to say I applaud this guy. I'm surprised that the other guy is not dead. So it's a hard situation, but I really believe that we really need to tackle this type of situation and watch your friends. You got a friend that you think your friend, you should know what your friend is about. You should know what he or she does and things like that. If you have any kind of notion or inkling that you cannot trust them around your children or your mate, you might need to reconsider even inviting them or let them to the house or her to the house.
Well, I guess you got to watch who's around your kids, and they say the statistics say that the majority of this happens because of a family friend or a relative. And so I guess the issue really is we need to communicate not only with ourselves but with our other family members. If Uncle Rufus is not right, and you don't let him around your kids, but you don't tell the other family members on the other side not to let Uncle Rufus around their kids,
you just did a disservice.
You just did a disservice. And so, especially in the urban community, people don't want to talk about it. They want to act like it doesn't exist because people don't want to get help. And this is a mental issue. This is a sickness. Anybody that wants to mess with somebody is a sickness. In this particular story, this man had been messing with him for 3 years. And the dad just thought he was playing Xbox with the son. But he was playing with the wrong controller. This is not what needs to be done in the community.
And I'm hearing you talk about it. The question in my head is, how did he have more time spent with his son than he did to not know, what's going on? I mean, it's something wrong there. I mean, you should have more time with your son. You should be able to ask your son or communicate with your son to the point where you can actually know what's going on, or even catch it before it actually happens. That's my question. How did he get so close to being around and play with his son that amount of time to get away with it for about 3 years, and you just not finding out? So that's kind of disturbing to me.
Yeah, but I really want to say this. People need to be trained in that. Just because you can make a child doesn't mean you already had the skills to parent a child. And I know people say you got an innate ability once you... No, it's not so. Not so. Because I talk to people and I say, wow, you're the biggest detriment to your kid. It's not the child, it's your environment. If you think it's cuter for them to listen to, Trick than it is for them to read a book, then it's a problem. When they know more Beyonce than they know Elmo, then that's a problem. But I digress. I'm not trying to be on the soapbox today. I'm just saying that some of these basic things are not there, and it's got to be a training for the community. And I think that back in the day, we had older mothers that would come and take younger mothers and teach them the way, take fathers and teach them how to be fathers. And so we can talk about what separated and what divided the community. But I guess, how do we get the message out that this kind of thing is happening? Because a lot of it comes with shame. And people don't want to address it because they're ashamed that it's happened. But if they were to tell their story It might not happen to the next person, but they want it to. I'm not going to say they want it to happen to the next person, but because they're ashamed, they never tell that story, and the cycle continues. Think about it. With as much prophylactics and everything we got around now, why is AIDS still killing our community more than anybody else? Come on now. You can get a condom at every gas station. Why is it killing our community? Why? Because the information is really not going out. Did you know that last month was HIV testing day? Wow. We not spreading that information because people don't really want to talk about it. They say, I look clean. But I'm just saying, molestation is just like that. Whatever you don't talk about festers. Mold grows in the dark. And so situations like this that happen to our community happen in the dark. And if people don't step out, they got agencies like Care House and things. You can call 211 and United Way and get anonymous help. You can call 313 in Detroit and get anonymous help. And people don't want to call in because not only are they ashamed, but they think this is the way it's supposed to be. I got molested, so you should get molested. It's not right.
That's crazy.
At some point, it's got to stop and say, we want to do better by our kids. Because that's something that doesn't have to happen. You don't have to be molested.
And the topic is well talked about. The thing is, you don't have to have bad things happening to you. I'm really a stickler of paying close attention to people. Some people, I believe that it's a matter they don't want it to happen again or happen to their child, but they got so much going on in their lives where they're not paying attention to what's going on. And you can have all the tools, you can have the experience of going through of getting molested, but you also have to use the experience. Hey, you need to be attentive, especially in that situation, and then do not be afraid to be assertive and make that situation stop. We can't go, no longer just go around and doing everything, going to work or whatever it is, having all our kind of problems, and don't pay attention to what's going on in your environment. I don't care if it is someone else's child that's next door. Next time it may not be the child next door. It may be the child messing with your child next door, or it may be the person that comes and develops a relationship with you just to get to your child. You need to be paying attention to exactly what's going on at all times from all angles. I know that's a lot of work, but what does it mean to you? What does your family mean? What does your child mean to you? What does that child next door mean to you? If that child gets affected, gets a disease because someone didn't pay attention to them, but what happens if that child comes over and play with your child? I'm just saying, we just need to be thinking about things like that.
Well, we got to think about it, and we got to pray about it, but also we got to get help when help is available. And so there's no shame in receiving help. It's shame in being too prideful to take help and still continue with the same problem. So this is the Foster and Williams Show. We're here every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. We're almost out of time, but you can call in still. We haven't heard from the audience yet. 313-868-0331. Again, that's 313-868-0331. Want to make a special thanks to our producer of the show today, Mr. Cisco in the back. He's looking at us crazy, but we want to give him a definite shout out. He's sitting in here listening to us to Babylon for an hour. But definitely we want to make sure that if you're having any issues, that you definitely call into the show, because this is the people show. I know these things are going on and we don't want to talk about it. We just want to create a venue for you to be able to talk about it. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, because we're about, the election is on August the 5th, right? And so they're projecting this to be one of the lowest turnouts in the primary for the state of Michigan. And so since I'm in Highland Park, I just want to let people know what we're electing this year, right? We're going to elect the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, attorney general. We're going to elect one of our senators, U.S. representatives for Congress, all 14 districts, all 38 Senate districts for the state, all state representatives, all 110. We're going to elect two board members of the State Board of Education, the University Michigan of Regents, 2 seats, Michigan State University, 2 seats, Wayne State University, governors, 2 seats. Now, I'm looking at my student loans last week, and they are outrageous. And so we're electing all of these people to these boards. I had to just stop right there. We're electing all of these to the boards, and they set the rate for how much the college tuition is going to be. And so for people who paying student loans or want to go to school or and can't get into school because they don't have enough money to buy books after they pay for their classes. So now you're sitting in class with a pencil and paper with no book. You don't know what the teacher's talking about. You flunking out in 2 weeks. You should definitely be voting for these boards. If you don't know anybody else's name, you should be know the name of the person that's going to raise your tuition or lower your tuition. But I'm pretty sure if you don't vote for them, they ain't lowering nothing. Exactly. Okay, we also getting the justices from the Supreme Court, a judge for the Court of Appeals, a judge for the circuit court, judge for the district court, judge for the probate court, county, township, villages, school district positions, all of that. That's all in 2014. And this is what people told me the other day. Man I ran into said, I don't vote. I don't want to hear nothing about voting. They don't change nothing, blah, blah, blah. And he proceeded to ask me for $2 afterwards. And I told him, voting and then not voting and then complaining is like not filling out a job application and expecting a job. You don't got nothing coming. If you don't vote, you don't have anything coming. Do you understand that these potholes that you complain about every week is not getting paid for because the people we elected or did elect, if they listen, I'm telling you, the potholes where they live is fixed. So if you tore up your car this winter, you should be voting. If you never voted before, you should vote just now. You should go and take a picture of your voter registration card next to the pothole that you got your car towed up in and say, guess what, I'm voting you out because you didn't fix my pothole. But people don't think like that. Think about it. We don't get to earn income tax credit no more. Think about it. Anymore. It's gone, right? And so for people who worked, that was an extra $1,000 that you was getting every year. These people took it out your pockets. And you say, my vote don't count. It don't matter. I might as well stay at home. The people who need to, this is what's sad. Had a man tell me, oh, I'm not voting because I don't want to give them all that information. But he plays Xbox every day. He's got an Xbox 360, right? The Xbox 360, let me tell you this, Henry, because I don't know if you ever played it. They have facial recognition. Oh. On the Xbox 360, if you are not the right face, the game will not cut on.
That's crazy.
They not only have your address, but they have your credit card, but you don't want to vote because that's too much information. But Microsoft knows your whole life, and they got pictures of your house. They can tell you where your picture of your auntie at, but you don't want to give them that information. Or
it's already given.
Or people will go to the FIA, fill out the document with 48 pages, right?
Right.
But I'm not voting. It only takes you 12 minutes. Some cases less than that. All you got to do is sign up. Then people say, oh, I'm a felon, I can't vote. Or, I had a felony, I can't vote. No, brother, you the main one needing to vote because it was the driver's responsibility fee that put you in there.
Yep.
You can vote as long as you are not physically incarcerated the day of the election, meaning that even if you're awaiting trial, you can still vote. As long as you have not been sentenced and put in them handcuffs, you can vote.
Can't get no better than that.
But listen, people don't vote. But then when food stamps get cut off, when Medicaid get cut off, when revenue sharing for cities like Pontiac, Flint, Highland Park get cut off, when people march in the street for shut-off notices, elections have consequences. Think about it. If your vote wasn't important, why would people be spending millions and millions of dollars on TV advertisements telling people to vote? They ain't doing that for show. And the people who need to vote the most vote the least. I know I get a little angry, so I'm sorry if I yelled at you, Highland Park. But I just think that's so ignorant for people to say, I'm not going to vote when it's free. And then they say, I'm going to do everything else. How can you stand in line for Jordans a day and a half, killing people? People are getting killed over Jordans, over J's, the same shoes in different colors. I can spray paint them for you for free. But anyway, if you want to stand in line, pay $250. Stand wraparound lines. Because I got these J's on my feet. But guess what? Now your kids can't eat because they done cut off all the jobs. Because guess what?
You didn't vote.
You didn't vote. Because you was too busy that day. People be telling me, oh, I forgot to vote. How did you forget to vote? And then when they forget to send your Social Security check, you're going to say, oh, what can be done? Mr. Councilman, please help me. I can't do nothing for you. You had to vote. You got the power. But them J's, you didn't let nothing stop you. You was there at 8 o'clock. People camp out. Henry, they camp out. Do you understand what I'm saying
like
to you?
Black Friday.
They stand. Oh, Black Friday. You spending your money. And they call it Black Friday because they know you're going to be ignorant enough to come and spend your money. Yeah, I said it. I know you mad. Please send your angry letters to WHRP. Don't send them to me. But we're about to get out of here because our time is getting up. The call-in number is still 313-868-0331. I know you're listening out there, so please tell your friends. We're going to be here every Monday. Like us on Facebook, The Foster and Williams Show. Again, or you can go to my website and sign up to get updates. KermitWilliams.com, KermitWilliams.com. Or you can go to HenryDFoster.com and sign up for the show. But the main thing is, I don't want to yell at you, but I'm just saying some things that's on my chest. So forgive me if I'm mad at people who ask me for $2 but then don't vote and get mad when I don't want to give them the $2. I'm just saying, is that acceptable, Highland Park? Is that acceptable, Michigan, for me not to want to give them $2 after they said I'm not going to do something that's free? If I can't get you to do something that's free, how can I get you to do the things that's really going to cost you, that's really going to cost sacrifice? Because nothing good happens unless you sacrifice something. Anything that comes quick ain't good.
Not at all.
It ain't good. So Mama, I'm sorry. I yelled at the people. I told you I wasn't going to yell at the people today. But when they start talking about not voting, that makes me want to yell. So I'm going to turn it over for Henry for his inspirational minute. Then we're going to get out of here. Again, if you want to call in, it's 313-868-0331.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. I'm so excited that we actually got a chance to get out here and speak with you all. We're definitely looking forward to hearing from you in the near future. I'd like to leave this little thought I put together here, and it says, "I am a memoir exposed today, and not after I pass on. I'm not afraid to take in any scripture or knowledge and or wisdom that would advance me and the life of others around me. I accept every opportunity and I accept every failure for the birthing of my establishment forever. I am a memoir, remembered now and not later." I'm not calling everyone illiterate. If you actually listen to exactly what was said, I'm a softie at heart. Kermit and I are excited in the studio here. We're softies at heart, but what that basically means is you want to begin to think of yourselves as some form of establishment. We know that things that have been established before, we know that great opportunities has passed on, but you are an opportunity. You are a memoir that actually is going to be remembered. But really, let's work on being remembered today. Let's work on people knowing who you are today, what you can do today, how you can make a difference today, or better yet, let's stop being showboats. Let us make a difference today, because if we begin to be more unified and be more of positive establishments, we can make a difference for your individuals' futures and everyone else's future.
All right, Cisco, take us out. This has been the first inaugural episode of the Foster and Williams Show. See you next week at 8 o'clock. Don't be late because they only giving us an hour.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Foster.
I'm Williams.
I'm the businessman.
And I'm the councilman. This is the Foster and Williams Show. If it's in the news, we talk about it. If it's in the neighborhood, we talk about it. If it matters to you, oh yeah, we talk about it.
And we are the friends of the people.
The Foster and Williams Show.